friends, welcome back to my kitchen. So glad you could join me. My name's Vicki-Lynne and this is Cooking Vegan with Vicki. So, you know, here at Cooking Vegan with Vicki, we love our Mexican recipes, and this is another great recipe that we're going to do. It is pozole. So, my husband loves pozole, and you know, Trader Joe's does have a pozole verde. It's not bad, but I've been on the hunt to try to figure out how to make him a rojo pozole, and I think I might have it. So let's get into the kitchen. Well, we're already here, but let's get started with our rojo pozole recipe. So the first thing you're going to need to make your pozole rojo is some chilies, and these are dried chilies. So we're going to start with the Ancho. So the first thing you're going to want to do is stem them. Oh, the stem doesn't even want to come out. So it doesn't matter. You're going to want to rip them up, take all the seeds out, and just make sure, doesn't matter what they look like. We're going to put them in a pot. And you do want to make sure you get all the seeds and the stem off, and as much of the membrane. Okay. Because that's normally where the heat is. So this recipe, we're using 3 different dried chilies. You can get them at most places. I get them here at our Cermak market because we're super lucky. If not, Amazon is always a great resource for anything you can't find in your regular store. Again, just open them up, get all those seeds out, or as many of the seeds as you can. The next one is our chili Arbol, and my gorgeous husband is on the camera, and he's going to correct me as soon as I make any mistakes with the names, because I'm horrible at that. So far, so good. Okay, so you're just going to cut them open, let all the seeds come out. And I'm leaving the big one for the end, because now I've already gone blank in my Guajillo, thank you, darling. Okay, so you're just going to crack them open, let the seeds out. And of course, guys, the recipe is going to be down below as per usual. And this is super simple. So instead of meat in our pozole, we're going to actually use cremini mushrooms. You can always bulk this up by adding a can of pinto beans. Totally up to you. I think it's good without it. It's also great to add extra protein. So it's whatever you prefer. This is a super simple recipe, and you will also need a can. About, depending on where you are, they come between 28 and 30 ounces of hominy. Guajillo. There we go. It's amazing. I can be off camera and say these things 30, 40 times and be fine. And as soon as the camera goes on, I just go totally blank. And so everything goes in here. There we go. Take the stem off that one. It's just easier if you just rip them open in the middle. Make sure all the seeds are out and any membranes. Okay, and to this, we're going to add an onion. You're also going to need a bay leaf, some Mexican oregano if you can find it. So of course down here we can. It is a little bit different, but if you can't, it's not going to make a huge difference. And you're only going to need a teaspoon of that. And don't overdo it on the oregano, because it can, if you try to put more in, it will give your pozole a little bit of a sour taste. So again, more is not always better. And then we're just going to add our onion. You don't even need to do much with it. Just add it with your chilies. And then all we're going to do is we're going to, and a couple of cloves of garlic. We're going to soften our chilies with some water and bring them to a boil on the stovetop for about 15 minutes. Again, super simple recipe. Now, your hominy, you should rinse it really well. So drain the can, rinse it really well. You're going to need some vegetable stock, some cilantro, and then your accoutrements on what you're going to serve with it. So we're going to just fill this so that the chilies are covered in water. Because we want to make sure that everything is covered. Perfect. You're going to want to put it on the stovetop, bring it to a boil, cover the pot, bring it up to a boil, lower it to a simmer, let it simmer for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to meet back to blend it and make it into a paste and continue with our soup. So our chilies have now cooked for about 15 minutes. You can see they're nice and soft and pliable. So we're going to add that to our blender. Now I have a high-speed blender. If you don't need one. You can strain this mixture when we're done. I don't need to just because I'm lucky enough to have a Vitamix. I love my Vitamix. But we're going to put everything into our blender, onions and all. You want to make sure you get all your peppers. And the garlic. Okay. We're going to use a little bit of the water to blend. And what we want is the consistency of almost like a tomato paste. So we're going to start it on low. Oh, strong. So now, if you don't have a high-speed blender, you can strain this through a sieve, and just to make it nice and smooth. So now we're ready to go to our next step, which is just starting to cook our soup, and we're going to head over to the stove. Okay, so we've got our pan going. We're just going to add our mushrooms. I've added just a little bit of veggie stock because we're not using any oil. We're just going to brown our mushrooms, let them cook down. That's going to take 6 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes. We want them to brown, cook down, and that's going to kind of be our little meat substitute. Okay, so now that our mushrooms have cooked down, we're going to add in our chili paste that we made. And we're going to want to saute this down on a lower heat, so turn your heat down. And we're going to want to kind of cook it down a little bit to darken it, intensify the flavors even more. Just for a minute or two. Okay, so once you've cooked it down for a couple of minutes, just want to kind of intensify that flavor. We're going to add in our oregano and a teaspoon of salt. Give it a stir. Let that cook for about a minute. Add your hominy. And now we're going to add in all of our vegetable stock. You want to use a good veggie stock if you want to impart some more flavor here. Okay. And add in 2 bay leaves. Give it a good stir. And then you want to bring this up to a boil. lower it to a simmer, and you're going to cook this between 45 to an hour. 45 minutes to about an hour until the hominy is nice and tender. Look how nice and dark that is. That is a beautiful thing, guys. So bring that up to a simmer. Bring that up to a boil, my mistake. And then lower it to a simmer. You're going to cook that 45 minutes to an hour till the hominy is nice and tender. So our pozole is now cooked for 45 minutes. The hominy is nice and tender. And I did get my husband to confirm, because I've actually never tasted pozole, because most of the pozole always has meat in it. And he says it's thebomb.com. So he says the sauce is really good. The soup is delicious. So we're going to just spoon some up to a bowl. Don't forget to take out your bay leaves so people don't choke. There we go. And then we're going to serve it with the normal accoutrements, and I'm going to show that to you. So typical pozole is normally served with accoutrements, as you want to put them, little toppings. So some shaved cabbage goes on top for that little crunch. Obviously some cilantro. Everything tastes better with cilantro. Thinly sliced radishes, which is very common in Mexican food. Fresh diced white onions. And everybody always puts on what they want. And then a good squeeze of fresh lime to really make the soup pop. Oh, right, and a little fresh oregano on top, which I don't have here but in most of the restaurants, that's what they serve it with. I just didn't put it on the thing, but we did use it in the recipe. But yes, they do serve it with fresh oregano in most of the restaurants. Give this pozole rojo a try, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.